This podcast is inspired by community, language, diversity, truth, love, and connection.
We have to stand in solidarity, for we are the matriarchs.
Intergenerational wisdom.
Be happy. You matter.
Tansei, hello. I am your host, Shaylin Natauhau, coming to you live from Treaty 6 territory, heartland of the Métis. You are listening to Sacred Tea and Cree, an Indigenous podcast inclined to center Indigenous voices and storytellers. Every week on this show, I will be sharing a connection from the roots of Indigenous and Métis peoples. We all have something important to share. Our lifestyles, our experiences, and our perspectives are all sacred. In this space, those stories can be acknowledged in their truest light. This is Sacred Tea and Cree.
Hey, what's up, everybody? We are live right now. I usually have our guest chilling in background, but she's here right now, and I just want to welcome her. I'm going to do a quick introduction on this beautiful soul, Taylar. Taylar is a Métis Nehio Esquale from Sagatawak, Saskatchewan. She currently works for a national charitable foundation called Makeway as the Saskatchewan Program Specialist. Her leadership role in this program is to build partnerships with nations and Indigenous communities and increase philanthropic contributions that go towards projects related to land, language, culture, leadership, justice, and food systems. Taylar has credentials in traditional naturopathic medicine. She's a holistic health and wellness coach, as well as she has her level 2 Reiki practitioner. She is a level 2 Reiki practitioner. She is currently completing her studies in a death doula practitioner course, which I'm super curious about. And she is a practical herbalist diploma program. And you're completing that right now, hey, Taylar?
Yeah, it's a pretty heavy course. I didn't expect it to be this long, but it's good. It's really good information, and yeah, it's been a journey so far.
Awesome. Well, that's not it, everybody. She's also currently working on establishing a healing lodge, Askîy Healing Lodge, which focuses on cultural learning, land-based education, ceremony, reclamation for youth and families, and on holistic healing. And more importantly, she's a loving mother to a beautiful baby boy named Leo.
Oh.
Welcome, bro. I'm so happy. I'm so pumped.
Yeah, me too, man. I'm just really excited that you're doing this kind of work, and it's a really good space to be in. I watched your first episode there and your second, and I was just so proud. So yeah, it's really good stuff.
Yeah. Okay. So this is episode Nisto. This is the third episode, and this is all about reclaiming. This is a super important podcast tonight on reclaiming. I think reclamation of, self, identity, what's always been there. We all need to go back and what I quote on Danny Musqua, dig up the medicine, because everything is still there. I made in my post, I said that it's never left us, we left it. Whatever it may be. It's just covered up. There's even a few elders back home in my homeland and back home in the bush in Larange, and the elders say that, when you go somewhere, take who you are, and when you come back, walk on the land. My Chabans used to say, you awaken the land, you bring the land back to life when you walk on it. And that's always stuck with me. but take who you are wherever you go. Be proud of reclaiming language and all these things that we're going to talk about tonight. They're real close to my heart. So
yeah.
What are some of the things, Taylar, that are most important to you tonight that you'd like to discuss on reclaiming and essential?
Yeah, I think I'll just share a little story about how I once was a little bit lost, and we all have those times where we kind of don't really know our meaning in life. And this was way back when. This was probably about like 10 years ago. I know the last episode there was the aspect of healing and being in abusive relationships, and that's something I actually had went through in my high school years. And then it kind of left something in me that made me feel like I wasn't like worthy, or I wasn't good enough, because somebody can really make you feel like that if you're young and that's all you ever know, right?
Absolutely.
And so there was a physical aspect that I've been through, and then there was an emotional aspect that I've been through in terms of like hurt and trauma and so on and so forth. So when I moved away from my community, I just wanted to get away. I just wanted to explore the world, and I wanted to find myself. And so I was away from my home community for a very, very long time. And probably about 5-6 years, 7 years ago, maybe 8 years ago. Yeah. I just realized how time flies. Anyhow, I was having Christmas here back home, and my cousin Cheryl, who is now with Tatusis, because she married into the Poundmaker family, Tatusis family actually, and she brought over a lady. Her name was Shailene Rose, I call her, and she's actually one of my best friends to this day. I don't see her very often, but I love her. Anyhow, she came, and that's the first time I met her, was Christmas time that many years ago, and there was an instant connection. I just felt like she was healing me just with her presence. So I had to know more about her, and we got to know each other. And so after that visit, I just kept thinking about how I wanted to like go and visit her and learn more about her. My cousin Cheryl was like, yeah, like she's around North Battleford area, so if you ever want to come and like visit her, she also has like these wild horses. And I was like, holy shit, that's freaking deadly. So then I was having a really hard time one time, and my cousin Cheryl was like, I think it's time you come and like visit her. I think it's time you come and like see her and see the horses. And so I did. I was really down and out that day. I just felt like, oh, it was brutal just thinking about it. But so I went to North Battleford, and she had some land there, and there were their horses. And so I spent some time with her. She said, you can stay here for as long as you can. And I did some work with the horses and working on the land. And that aspect of reclaiming like our old ways and being around like old spirits such as the horses and being around people who heal you. Like I didn't have that, I was just like this wandering spirit trying to figure it out. Right. And so I knew that there was a connection there. And so I was reclaiming that piece of myself that I never knew I had. And so it's in our blood, it's in our memory. Like, when somebody listens to like the hand drum and it instantly makes people cry. Some people, like I cried when I first heard the hand drums. And so that's, the elders say, our spirits reconnecting and longing for that ceremony or longing for that connection, right?
Absolutely.
And so, yeah. And so I realized I was missing a lot of that. And so that's when my journey started in wanting to learn how to self-heal and reclaiming our ways. And through that reclamation, I wanted to help other people do that as well, because I found healing in that. And so if it helped me, it's got to help other people, right? And so there's so many pieces of my journey that I took along the way that I want to now like share. For example, with the traditional hand poke tattoos, right? That's reclaiming as well. So like when I first learned, it actually all started from a dream. I had a dream, and I'll share this dream real quick. I was in, it seemed like the Amazon forest, to be honest with you, but I was in a big bush, and the trees were just vibrant green, and there was an elder holding a basket of red paint, and there was 3 other men there, and it looked like old times, like they were just no shirts on, but like we were in a ceremony, and the elder was going around to each of us putting red paint on our face. And, he put it on my chin and he put it on my cheeks. And I never really knew what it meant, but I knew that those markings were really sacred, just the way that the message came across in the dream. And so I started searching into like face paint and what it means and so on and so forth. So I wanted to reclaim that aspect as well. And so things started aligning the more I was searching. And so then there was a seminar led by traditional tattoo artists that I got invited to. So then I learned off of them, and I learned how our markings were almost erased. And so they also spoke of the importance of reclaiming our identity through our traditional markings. So each tribe is different, of course. So I'm still learning the different markings for different nation and peoples. And so, yeah, there's a lot. There's just a lot. There's a lot of pieces to my puzzle and my journey. But reclamation is so important, and it plays a part in my everyday life.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
Wow, awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. I think like the types of things that you've shared just like in that little bit, there's a lot of people that will, connect to that and feel inspired. Especially with like, I know with like the traditional like face tattoos. There was the woman that went into a public setting. It's like excused from the facility because of her face tattoos, right? I actually want to have her on the podcast.
Oh man, that'd be amazing. Yeah.
About like, that vibe and like how she felt about that, and to like, and her journey into getting face tattoo, and her reclamation in that,
Yeah.
And like for those of you who don't know, like Taylar, she did mine, and it was a ceremony, and it was such a like amazing experience to like bond sisterhood like that, and to to have that trust, and just to have those prayers in that moment and in the process, because you can get attacked anywhere, man.
Yeah.
And like by strangers. And like you just sometimes you're skeptical, like, but no, this was nothing like that. And yeah, so that's something that you and I share is that we share that how, like, let's talk about how like we met too, bro.
Yeah. I knew that was gonna come up, and I was really thinking about it, and I was like, holy shit, man, that was where we met, because I was thinking, yeah,
Yeah,
that's a beautiful way to, yeah.
Yeah, man,
Go
because like
ahead.
it was so like honestly, it was so spontaneous. I'm not gonna use the word random. Like, it was so spontaneous.
Yeah. Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
honestly, you'd message me up, right? That's
Yeah,
it.
I did, because I was aware of the kind of work that you were doing, and I could just feel that you were who I wanted to incorporate in that work, and so yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
there it is.
Bleep.
I'm gonna try and find like a little buzzer every time someone does, but
You
it's more
should.
so me
You
doing
should.
it.
Yeah.
A little horn, a little siren.
Yeah.
Anyways, no, I don't, honestly, from your perspective, I don't know how you scouted me out, man. Cause like
You came in a
even the people
dream.
I met, bro.
You came in a dream, bro. Just kidding.
Yes, that's that's what you said, bro. That's how freaking sacred that shit was.
Yeah.
Anyways, no, the people that I met there, like I didn't know nobody, man.
I know. Yeah.
So that's what like was incredible about the whole situation. So anyways, I'm a content creator, a woman warrior, a Cree childbirth educator, and I share my journey through Indigenous midwifery, and just as a Esqueo Awitse Hawiwak, a woman helper. And um and so I think like sharing content on that Instagram page, it kind of, exploited me to the public. I started it in the north, and that's where Taylar and I were, raising ourselves, mothering ourselves, and And I think we just might have connected through, a little bit of social media, but even like smoke signals.
Yeah. Yeah,
um,
no, yeah.
yeah, I don't know. Honestly, bro, I don't know how. But anyway,
Yeah.
that's how it went. She messaged me and she's like, yo, we're doing this ceremony in my community. And what was
Yeah.
it called again, bro?
Well, it was actually, so what I had wanted to do was I wanted to do basically the first women's gathering in the Northwest region, because I've learned so much working with the women in northern Manitoba. So that's Keisha Cook's family,
Yeah.
and they do women's gatherings in northern Manitoba, and they are the lead women. And I've learned so much from them the past 5 years that I've been around there and helping them with ceremony and what have you, And so I figured how we need these kind of gatherings in our areas again. And so I basically was given the go ahead from my mentors, Keisha's family and Keisha, because they were handing certain ceremonies over to me. And so, to me, I feel like that work must continue in our area. And so I wanted to put a women's gathering together in Sandy Beach, just outside of Beauval, because we didn't have a space big enough here in our community uh, to hold so many people. And the first time was a really great turnout. I didn't think we were going to get that many people, but we had about 40 people, 40 women, and some young girls come to that gathering in Sandy Beach Resort for that women's gathering. So but we needed like all of the women to have play a part, right? And so your part was to do teachings about birth work and the moon phases and so on. And so I really wanted that to happen. And so you popped up in my head. And I'm like, this girl, I've never met her, but I just feel like she's right for this position, like to come and help in this gathering. And it worked out. Your light was so bright and you were just shining. And I was like, oh my God, yes. So when you came, um, it was perfect. And I didn't realize that you had like a newborn, and you still came, man. Like you were still
Yeah.
so optimistic about coming. And I was like, holy crap, man, this is how does she do it? Even to this day, I'm like, how the hell does she do it with so many kids? No, but yeah. And so that's basically how it started between you and I. And I just always wanted to keep in touch
Yeah.
since that moment. And so it's just a really beautiful way to connect with somebody.
Oh, and
And
it was, and then like I met so many, like I met Keisha there, okay, and like I'm
yeah,
so grateful that I went to that. And like my little girl's 4 years old now, so 4 years ago pretty much, like
yeah,
she was a newborn. I was an open portal walking the land, and
yes,
just trying to connect and embrace that opportunity. And it was a really good opportunity, and I'm so glad, because that was like my jump start, though, to
yeah.
like expanding.
Hmm.
And like, and it was kind of like a jump start to what you're doing now, like not a jump start, but it was kind of just like, like it's moving, you're moving your
Yeah.
mountain, you're
Hmm.
climbing your mountain. and
Yeah.
and now with like the healing lodge that's going to be developed, like
Yeah. Yeah.
I won't get lost this time. Can
Oh
you even
yeah.
try to, did she
Yeah.
try to come?
Yeah. Because I was inviting so many people, and like Sandy Beach Resort, that was the first time I went there, and it was a little bit kind of difficult to find.
Yeah.
But yeah, I am planning to do another one. And just at the time, I only had so much funding to work with, and so like I want it to be really good for the next time. And we do have some funding, which I will share when we talk a little bit more about the Healing Lodge. But yes, there will be another women's gathering for sure. And the thing about women's gathering too is like men can come and help and support us too. So it's not just primarily based around the women, but they learn the roles and duties as men supporting women, right? So
Yeah.
yeah.
That's so important, dude. I
Yeah.
love that,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
like men carry a super sacred role, and I know like they're
Hell yeah.
left out a lot of times.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I just want to share like a little bit of some protocol with birth work. The men are actually the ones that collect the bundle and get the bundle prepared for the mom, because sometimes we're not able to do it all. And traditionally that's how it was. The men were to gather that bundle and to make sure it was well prepared for the mother. And we need to, you know, awaken that again and welcome the men into that birth space. And, you know, there's other protocols, right, on how people go about that. But I know in the way of I've learned in the Cree way is, you know, men are to be present, and to have a responsibility, you know, taking care, keeping that safe space, protecting. So yeah, no, that's awesome. I even like we do full moon ceremonies here, and a lot of the time it's just for men, I mean for women. But I invite men in, because men need that release as well. And
No, absolutely. And I really appreciate that was also what I was taught as well when I was being mentored by the northern Manitobian women.
Manitobian.
Just making my own. No, but when I saw that, like how they incorporate the men, I was like, oh, that's amazing. Like, and really though, like it is a really sacred duty to protect the women, right, and to support them, you know, and through those efforts, we give our hearts to them, and we give them food, and we give them shelter in return, and we give them a loving environment in return, right? So I feel like we really need to relearn those ways sometimes, but I know it gets hard. Yeah. Go away. My dog is just trying to be snippy.
Is that Yarrow?
But the other one, her name is Raven.
Oh yeah, Raven.
Yeah, the aggressive one. Yarrow's outside.
How do they do together?
Oh man, no. I gotta keep them separated. This one time, I don't know where I'm.
You're there?
Oh, I think she's reconnecting.
No,
oh,
I'm
there.
there.
Good? Okay.
I was like,
do I gotta take over the show? Just kidding.
No, bro. I got a question. So, would you ever and like it falls right under the like reclamation topic. Would you ever start like a dog team?
That's so funny because like I wanted to actually, because my Yarrow, she's half wolf and Malamute, and they're built like freaking brick houses, man.
Yeah, they have the stamina for it.
Yeah, hell yeah, man. And they cannot, like, she cannot be inside for long because she gets too hot. But yes, like I at one point I definitely do, but I don't have the time right now. So I was actually thinking if she were to be pregnant, I was like, I want to get my own dog sled team going. But I don't think she's pregnant right now, which is weird. But anyways, yeah, I was thinking about doing that. And one day that will happen because I want my son to learn those ways as well, you know? And so I was actually talking to a buddy of mine about how he runs his dog sled team, and he was giving me a few pointers on like how to train Yarrow if I wanted her to start running and pulling. So yeah, I definitely want to, just I can't do it right now. Yeah.
Yeah, like I can even like think off the top of my head a couple of like community like resources. Like there's Montreal Lake, like I have a cousin of mine who grew up around that, you know, like, and my mom would take me out too, right? But it was more like it's like a recreational, like winter festival vibe type of thing. But I know that like that's how our people use as transportation, right? But then there's also like Ragnar Robinson. He does dog sled team, and he's based out of Larange. Yeah, you know, like there's so many people who live that land-based lifestyle still.
Yeah, totally.
And like I appreciate those people so much, and to share it as well, you know, because seeing those kinds of things, like it really makes me happy.
Yeah, no, totally. I'll give you another example. Today, I literally just came back from fixing a caribou leg with one of my mentors in Turner Lake. Yeah, like I spent the day with her today, and I showed up there and she had these 3 big caribou legs on the table, and she put me to work right away. And I was like, I really know how to cut, but she's like, just follow the lines. And she was showing me, and like, I always knew I wanted, like, everybody now, you know, they want to learn and learn how they used to do things, you know, and I wasn't gifted with that when I was younger, the traditional ways, or because my dad was not a hunter, you know, but yeah, I want to be able to learn that so that I could do that for myself and also for my son. So today I felt like I definitely was reclaiming our ways of learning how to fix moose meat, caribou meat, whatever it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so today was really beautiful. I loved the blood on my hands, and I was like, this is made for me. You know how when you feel a real deep connection with something?
Yes.
Yeah. And I felt it in my freaking soul. I was like, yes, like I just want to run away and live in the bush and be a deadly hunter and trapper.
Yeah. Honestly, man,
it's
like
a goal of mine. Yeah.
that, like high tan, that's what does it for me, man. Like no matter where I am, like I'm living my best urban res life,
Heck
bro.
yeah.
Like for
But
real,
that's the
man.
thing. I
Like
love that you're doing that. Like you just making it happen. And I was like,
yeah.
what a woman. What a
Like I
woman.
posted in one of my bios recently because I'm doing a rattle making workshop for FSIN,
Oh, sick.
and
Yeah.
I posted in my bio that like I'm a radical Cree, bro, because like I'm like always living on like the edge, and
Mm-hmm.
I love to live my life without barriers. Like
I love that.
seriously, why do we have to have barriers to do something in our that we really want to do, right? So
Mm-hmm.
you
Yeah.
know, like want to acknowledge those people out there that are really trying to fulfill something in their life, and you know there's always like something a little bit missing wherever you
Yeah.
go, and
Yeah.
you know, like sometimes we catch ourselves like making up excuses and
Yeah.
putting those barriers in ourselves, in front of
Yeah.
ourselves, right? But you know we can defeat them. So
No, definitely. Definitely. You know, and everybody's journey is so unique and so different that it's not about how fast you are as long as you get to that destination. You know what I mean? And just never
yeah,
giving up. Yeah.
yeah, for sure. um so like tell us a little bit about like you know, like you have like so many things that you are accomplishing right now,
Yeah.
especially with like you're reclaiming something that there is it's like there's a democracy about it right now, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like herbalism,
Yeah. Totally.
um there are women I know on social media that are really struggling. They're in a fight for, you know, there's two different worlds. There's
Yeah.
people who utilize medicine, um, you know, they build their apothecary
Mm-hmm.
just to utilize for their own health, for their own families, for their own needs, and to understand, you know, their way or purpose or practice. But then there's the people who utilize and, you know, I don't know how to say this in the right way, but gather to like sell and to help
Yeah.
others. Um, you know, that's a whole nother discussion,
Oh yeah.
but
Yeah.
there's a huge um, fight right now about people shutting, like the government's trying to shut
Oh
these
yeah.
herbalists down,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So what do you think about that? And like share a little bit about your journey in
Yeah.
in
Yeah. No, for sure. I always like storytelling just because everything that I'm doing now comes with a story, you know?
absolutely, yeah.
And I suppose how I started getting more into medicine was when I got really sick. And I think this is actually something that I've been more open about as of recently. You know, like I got really, really sick because I was holding in a lot of trauma. And sometimes, you know, there's no place for your energy to go if you don't let it go, whether that be crying or getting angry or whatever you need to do to release it. So if you don't express your emotions, you end up getting sick. And so I was harboring those emotions for a very long time based on what had happened to me. And so in that specific area, which is my reproductive area, I got sick. And so um, I just felt myself like getting weaker and weaker and weaker. And then I figured, okay, I feel like I should go to the doctors and get this checked out. And so it turns out like there was cancer cells growing on my reproductive organs, and I was just really shocked. I didn't know it just felt like, you know, when you don't feel something in the moment because you're really shocked, like, did I just hear that? You know what I mean? And so I didn't tell anybody about it for a really long time because I didn't want to worry my parents or didn't want to worry anybody, because I feel like when you give attention to something, you're like feeding it to become bigger. And so I
Absolutely.
didn't want to feed that fear or feed what that was. And so and so when I was talking more to my doctor, like they were just they weren't really giving me too many options. Okay. I want to highlight that word, options, in the healthcare system. And so they just were putting prescription pills on me to reduce pain. And I didn't want to do that because I'm pretty sensitive and I don't like the way it makes me feel. And then I had to do a couple surgeries to get like rid of the cancer cells. And but they said, like, this is just scraping the surface. You need to start doing like more things for your, like taking pills to kind of manage what you're going through. And so I said, one day I was like, the only way I'm going to heal is if I help myself and heal myself. And so that's when I started reconnecting with plant medicines and looking into really powerful women herbs. And so that's kind of where it all started. And so I also started eating healthier because a lot of our foods are very, they're very inflammatory, and they just put our body out of whack. And I wasn't the healthiest eater for a long time. And again, everybody's genetically different. Some people can eat unhealthy and be okay, but there's also a group of people who just have to eat healthy. And so that was the only thing that was helping me was taking more of our medicines and learning about them and using them in the best way, the bioavailable way, and making sure that it's actually targeting where you want it to go to. And and then from that point, I was praying so hard to be able to find those medicines. And through prayer, that's when I started connecting with medicine women and medicine men. And I started going on walks with them and learning from them, so on and so forth. And so through time, it took about 2-3 years. And that's the thing about healing journeys, is it's a really long time, especially if you want to go the natural route, right? But I just never gave up. And so that's how I got better. It was eating healthy and taking our medicines and using them in a good way. And so fast forward to now, the last few years, I know that traditional medicines were coming out and getting highlighted and all of those sorts of things. And there was discussion about, making profit off of them. And, there's huge arguments, right? And that's fair. That's absolutely fair. And then of course the government trying to shut that down and for us having access to our medicines, and not just traditional medicines, like a variety of medicines, that have helped people naturally. And so when I heard that news, I was like, that's just another way for them to cut off our resources and shut us out from our own ability to like harvest and whatnot, right? Like, I know there's contradictions, but that's why it's really important, in my opinion, to connect with the right medicine people who know how to work with the medicine, who know their dose, like the doses that they give to a certain person. Like, there are contradictions that way for sure. In terms of like general information about medicines, I don't think is harmful, but I just think the administration piece and like how you're using those medicines can be very harmful. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
there's an in between. Like, I would love for our people to have access to our medicines because of emergencies, or because they might get shut out, or not be given any options within the healthcare system. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But for me, it's very important to use them in a right way, because it will come back to you. But sometimes people don't think about those protocols, or don't think about those teachings and whatnot, right? Because everything is energy. And yeah, so there is still continued conversations around medicines and how they're being distributed and how they're being used and how they're being, I guess, marketed. But for me now, what I'm focusing on is the preservation aspect. Like, I want to be able to preserve that knowledge so that I can share with somebody who is really curious. So I kind of step back from promoting a whole lot of it, because I feel like everybody's journey is personal, and if they want to reach out, they could learn more. I just want to make sure that I'm doing it in a good way, because it is a huge responsibility to carry the knowledge.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
So, yeah. So I'm just trying to figure out a way to balance it in a good way. And by no means do I ever want to market it in any way, right? But at first, I just wanted people to have access. right? So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with you. And, like when I was on kind of still on that journey of like, um, learning to find balance in
Mm.
what you share and, how you share it and how much to share. But it is, like I've always thought, it's Indian, because I've been told, it's Indian law
Mm.
not to keep knowledge to
Yeah,
yourself,
that's right.
especially when
Yeah.
something is shared with you, you're
Mhm.
given permission to continue to share, in a good way, of course. Um, and that's why I've backed off on my like Woman Womb
Mm.
Warrior page to like
Yeah.
share things only like if women, like I've shared enough, I feel, on there,
Mhm.
on childbirth,
Mhm.
um, medicines that you can use in childbirth,
Mhm.
and I've only shared like even recently about like how I've used them in my own birth, right?
Yeah.
Um, but the door is open. The door is always open, for women to ask, if
Yeah,
they
like
want to,
yeah,
if they
yeah.
want to
Like
utilize it.
we always have those conversations between you and I, like I go to you for your knowledge and
Yeah,
vice versa.
knowledge
And
exchange. Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just wanted to like touch a little bit on like what we were saying though about like, there's that big controversy with
Mhm.
like, um the government's coming in and they're trying to shut these apothecaries down,
Yeah.
but
Mhm.
does that just pertain, this is super important because I know so many Indigenous women and men who will think like this, that is not our box,
Mhm.
you know what I mean, that is
Yeah.
not our policy,
Yeah.
you
No,
know
absolutely not. Yeah.
and so like, is it a box for non-Indigenous um herbalists, I'm just gonna throw that out there, and that's like speaking loud, but
Yeah.
I'm just saying because I know a lot of Indigenous women and men
Mhm.
who don't put themselves in that box, who do not pertain to that policy, like they are like, that is not for us, that is, and there's so many different other areas like I have a sister friend of mine, Jolene Creeley, who I work really close
Oh yeah.
with in the birth
Yeah.
world. Yeah, and you know, we share a lot, her and I, about like how policy does not conflict with our work. You know,
Mhm. Yeah.
and that's like
Absolutely.
that we say that she says that with confidence, and I love
Mhm.
her for that because
Yeah.
that is strength, man.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to share on that. And thank you so much for sharing like everything that you did. Haley just said,
Oh yeah.
that is so true. We need to start utilizing our medicines
Yeah.
to heal ourselves, but also to educate
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely.
and to
And
be educated. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Because there's some powerful stuff out there. You can really, yeah, you definitely have to know kind of what you're working with for sure. So, but that's the thing too, is like, I'll give you an example, like some of the prescription drugs out there are derived from plant medicine. They just isolate that main medicine and utilize it. But what I'm learning is the plants all have different components in it. And so they all work harmoniously together. So it almost works,
Mhm.
it's way more effective than isolating that main medicine. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, as long as you know how to work with the medicines, and there's lots of combinations you can use too that help each other out while they're
Yeah.
working in your body. So yeah, I really, I'm always game for explaining certain medicines that I'm aware of to those who are interested in helping themselves. And so, yeah.
Yeah, because I was once told, and this is coming from, like a woman from my community,
Hmm.
um, it takes a lifetime to learn even just
Hmm.
one medicine
Oh,
and everything, all the properties and the
hmm,
essentials, everything about it. It takes a whole lifetime to learn
yeah,
the holistic.
yeah. That's what I mean. Like this program I'm taking is it's very lengthy and very detailed, and yeah,
Do you find it's challenging? Like
it is challenging because there's so many things you have to learn, and you have to make sure you know what you're talking about, you know.
Yeah.
But it's very good too. We don't just learn about like traditional medicines. It's a wide variety of various medicines in different areas, right? So yeah, but it's good though.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And you do that like remotely from home?
Yeah, it's online. I just take online classes from Wild Rose College. So there's a clinical herbalist, practical herbalism, and master, I think. Yeah. So I'm working towards my clinical. So that's like obviously, yeah. Yeah. So that altogether it would be like 8 years, 8 years. Yeah.
Wow.
It could be more. It's honestly, it's very similar. I don't want to. So you know how there's like medical doctors, MDs, and then there's naturopathic doctors, NDs. So they're basically in the same, like they both have regulations, they both have tests that they have to pass before working in the province. They just, their approach is just different. The interesting thing about that is naturopathic doctors, they learn Western medicine and traditional medicine, like natural ways of healing. But the medical doctors, they only learn their one way. They only learn conventional medicine, and they just think what we're doing is nonsense because there's no scientific evidence. But that's just what they've been taught, right? They don't know, like there is scientific evidence on the natural ways of healing. So yeah, I just wanted to put it out there that I'm really wanting to advocate for more methods of healing within our healthcare system, especially in Indigenous communities. So yeah.
No, good for you, bro. Like I'm so proud of you. And it's so nice to be someone who's stepping into that, that power and that element of different healing, and like I prefer to go to a naturopathic doctor and to take my kids to one, because like I don't want to use the word rely, but I turn to, traditional medicine, I turn to the land. That's my pharmacy, know? And so when I go to a doctor and I'm like, oh, look at this, they're like, what?
Yeah, I know. I've done that a couple of times.
But I don't know what that is and how it helps you, like they're just like, and I'm like, well, you know what? Like that would be so beneficial if you like just looked into it, because I'm like, I really want that for you. I want you to like open a book and expand your knowledge because it doesn't end here, man.
No, there's so much to know. Like we're just so complex.
Like doctors are already so like they're important and
yeah.
And they're already so smart and they have an essential role in in healing people. But if they just, took it upon themselves, even just a little bit, to learn the different options, because people deserve that. People deserve that.
Absolutely. They deserve to right to choose how they want to be cared for,
Putting that like role on them. Like, oh yeah, it's a role to give out, herbalist yeah, you know what I mean, bro. Because
and I just wanted to just stress the importance of how important it is to work with both of, conventional medicine and traditional medicine, because emergencies come, you take them to the hospital and they save lives. I don't at all like bash Western medicine at all. I think they're both work together in a good way. I'm just talking more about like having options, right? Because our bodies are so different. Yeah, they need different things. Yeah, and that's the thing about boxes is they put everybody in the same box and they try to diagnose people with the same things, but that might not even be the issue with them. You know what I mean? It just blows my mind. That's a big conversation though. Like
no, I totally get that. Like that is something that part of it needs to be spoken about, but at the same time, like it's like you're getting out of your comfort zone to really dig deep, and it's sensitive to talk about people to hear, But people do need to hear truth, man. People need to hear truth, and people need to speak truth, and that's what this podcast is about, speaking truth, speaking truth, and hearing it. And that's us. We're reclaiming truth, bro.
No, and honestly.
Opening that box. Oh, there.
No, definitely, man. And even that too, like even that is an act of reclaiming is reclaiming the old ways of healing. You know what I mean? It's still very advanced. It's just nobody talks about it as much, you know. And there are people out there who are extremely knowledgeable in medicine and how to heal people, and they don't go out there and broadcast it, and they don't go out there and talk to anybody about it. And I really commend them for that, because that is their way of preserving that medicine, you know. And so I learned about, there's a book called Askîy Healer and His Medicine Bundle, and there's probably some people that might be familiar for some people, but I came across that book and I was like, cool, I really want to like read this man's story. And so he goes on to talk about how he was healing people from their ailments, right? And there was one specific study that they did about like eczema and psoriasis, and he actually partnered with a group of physicians, and they wanted to kind of see if they can treat it in a conventional setting or in a traditional setting. So they worked together to figure that out. And it turns out, you know, through ceremony and through working with the right medicines, the Askîy healer was able to heal these individuals of the psoriasis and of their eczema. So it was a really incredible book to read, and it was just reaffirming that our medicines do in fact work, and it just takes knowledge to know kind of like what you're doing, right? But yeah, and reclaiming those ways are very important because of the way the world is going right now, man. Like, what if one day we get everything shut off on us, like no food, no water, no nothing, right? And all we have is the land. So that's why I'm really wanting to learn as much off the land as I possibly can, and why mainly I came back to my community, because this is where my roots are. I live right in the bush, and we got a lake right there, and we got people in our community to teach, right? So reclaiming all of those ways.
Yeah. And the world is like, it's definitely like forever evolving, right? And you know, people, like, I can already see people awakening to, you know, the other side of the table. You know, the tables are turning, man. And like it's so important for our people to be at that table, like Indigenous Métis leaders. You know, we need to be at that table in decision making. It's
absolutely.
so
Absolutely.
Is there anything else that you want to share about, you know, where you are in life, and like all of your you know, amazing things that you're doing with your credentials? You know, there's so much like that. There's only so much that you could share on here tonight, but like, you know, because you have a wealth of knowledge, bro, and you know, so
thanks. No, I appreciate that. I definitely I went a different route in terms of like my education, because I just really wanted to connect with who I truly was, you know. And I just connected with so many people saying like, this is the path that you're supposed to take. And so what I'm really trying to do is I'm trying to learn as much as I can about holistic healing and natural ways of healing and our traditional medicines and other methods of healing, so that I could, you know, utilize that knowledge in a place of healing, like the Askîy Healing Lodge I'm trying to establish, right? And I really, really would like to earn my license to become a naturopathic doctor. So that's going to take some time. But being recognized that way, I think is also nice too. But so that's something long-term that I'm going to work on. But in the meantime, I'm just gathering all these little pieces to the puzzle that will be helpful to get the lodge going. And so, I've got a team of women and elders and you know, some men who are interested to help with the lodge. And I didn't realize like how many people I knew who can be so resourceful and so helpful to get this lodge going. And so that's really just what I'm focusing on right now, is my job with Make Way and helping people with their projects in different communities in Saskatchewan, and getting the healing lodge going for my community, and being with my boy. And so I'm just now sort of finding balance. I'm still pretty busy, but that's just kind of what's been going on in my life. and pretty good. Things are looking up pretty good. Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Oh, I
Yeah.
love that for you, man. Especially
Yeah.
like it's so nice that we can find balance as mothers,
Oh yeah.
in like all the things that we are doing in our life, and it's nice that our kids can be involved in that and see the work that's being put into it.
Oh yeah.
And they're going to see the end result, and it's going to have a tremendous positive impact on their lives with all this hard work that you're doing and that I'm pursuing as well.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
It gets exhausting, bro. Like I got
Yeah.
gotta
No,
admit it, man.
it does. I don't even know. Like I still remember how I said you're one of the women that motivate me, because like God, you're still doing amazing things, and you have so many kids just running around there.
Cheaper by the dozen.
Holy
No,
man.
honestly, bro, like that's how that's how it feels like that sometimes, that it's just
Yeah.
like I get defeated a little bit, but then I'm like, yo, like you're climbing
It
this
happens.
mountain that
Yeah.
they're gonna look up, they're gonna climb that mountain too, and they're gonna look up, and it's gonna be, they're gonna make it taller. So
And everything I feel like is a test. I mean, at least that's the way I think of it. Like whenever I'm being pressured, like that's teaching me to just learn how to calm down in the moment, or you know what I mean? Or if I feel like there's so many lessons with our daily lives that we just need to be more aware of what's currently happening with us, right? And so it happens, man. Like,
yeah, like what to carry and what not to carry, right? Like
oh yeah,
what do you leave behind and what do you take with you, like every day? And yeah, like I see so many women on social media that are like people commenting on their shit, and like
yeah.
trying to put them down for what they're doing, and like,
Oh, I know. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, just make your music a little louder and tune out the rest. Joel Raymond says, awesome podcast, good stories.
Yeah,
Thank you.
no, speaking of men who are really supportive, Joel is actually a really good man. So I'm glad that he's here and he's supporting me. Yeah, he's
Thank you,
a
Joel.
really good person. Yeah.
And that's awesome. No, that's good. That's
Yeah. No, he's amazing. Yeah.
perfect. Well, bro, like I think that we had a really good discussion this evening, and if there's anything else that you like want to disclose, or a story you want to share, or this is your
Yeah.
time. And
I just feel like there's a theme going on in my life right now, and maybe that will transcend to maybe those who are also going through it too. Is there's so like there's a lot of ups and downs in your life, and sometimes when you're trying really hard to achieve something and it feels like there's no credit being given to you, or there's no support being given to you, and sometimes it's okay to not have that, but it gets really tiring to know that some of your work isn't being appreciated, or people aren't appreciating your time and whatnot. But I just want to say, like, just never give up on what you want to do in your life. Like, it has taken me years to be who I am today, with everything. Like, I just feel like now I'm reaching a breakthrough. And so, yeah, I just wanted to tell people out there just to continue doing the work that you're doing. And all of your ideas are amazing. And you just have to show up for yourself and for your family. And you will be gifted in abundance in such a good way if you walk a really good path. So, yeah, I just wanted to share that.
hi.
Hmm.
Those I needed to hear that too.
Mm.
Yeah, and thank you everybody for tuning in.
Mm-hmm.
I know we're cutting down a little bit. There's usually like we go for 1 hour. But my just having a freak out.
Yeah, I gotta go. Yeah.
My superpower is making.
Yeah. No, it's crazy. It happens. Yeah.
Yeah. But no, thank you so much, Taylar. I really appreciate you coming into this space and, bringing your good medicine and your wise words and your grounding energy, as Kaylee shared. Like,
Oh,
bro, for real. I
oh
was like
yeah. I get
scattered
to,
before, and then I was like, oh yeah, chill out.
oh yeah. No, man, like it's always bad. Like that's how I feel about you too, man. You're a sister and you're very, I always feel just good around you. And even my cousin too, man. She's got a really soft voice and soft energy. So
She does.
I
Oh,
love being surrounded by you guys. I was literally just talking about this, like how when one person feels drained and the other, like they're both feeling drained, and then all of a sudden you get energy from just being around somebody. Like that happened to me just like last night. So it's just crazy how like when you're
wow.
around people somewhere, your energy goes somewhere when you're with the right people. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I
Yeah.
agree. I agree.
Yeah. But
Well,
yeah, that's all I
stay
have.
tuned for the next podcast. And yeah, you guys all have a really good night.
Yeah.
Você,
Muy estás?
¿cómo estás?